Hello everyone, my name is Rob Howard. I was a level designer and scripter on this game, Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon, and I'm showing one of my favorite levels that I designed called The Cube from the second chapter. I'm doing this because EDF 2025 is coming out soon, and I thought it would be a good time to do something fun here. Usually when I make videos, it's for, hey, here's what this design is, and it's sort of technical. This is really meant to be just for fun, just to kind of show off the level and kind of talk about the development of it. And actually, I think, as you'll see here, I kind of end up with a classic EDF experience. I'm playing with a level 7 character on hard, which in theory shouldn't be too bad, but EDF is all about challenging gameplay on the harder levels, and I hadn't played the game in quite a while, actually, and it turned out to be a little more challenging than I thought it should be. I thought it would be a piece of cake with level 7 weapons on hard modes as opposed to Inferno. So anyway, this part of the level right here, the idea of it was that you were leading a charge down kind of a long, narrow corridor of a road. And a lot of these ideas came from an initial prototyping stage. When I was brought on board to Vicious Cycle, I was kind of allowed for a couple of months just to make anything I wanted in a test bed, just crank out prototype levels and really do anything I want. And that was very fruitful, and that's very odd, actually, in the game industry, to get a considerable amount of time just to experiment and to make things. And I think that bore some fruit on EDFIA. And even this scenario, as simple as it is, came from prototyping. That was one scenario. And by the way, if you hear jingling, that would be my cat, Zelda, in the background. If you hear the jingle of bells. But that was one thing that came out of the prototyping, was this idea of kind of a long corridor and enemies coming at you and you being part of a larger force. Now, of course, there's frame rate issues, especially for an online game, kind of reared their heads. As you notice, there's actually not that many AI fellows other than your regular AI companions, the two that would be normally with you. There's just a smattering of extra AI combatants that are fighting with you, but it still pulls off the effect reasonably well. And so we're fighting to the first lander. The overall kind of story of this level is there was a bunch of downed EDF landers, and one of the transport cubes has scientists and cargo that are important to the war effort. So you're trying to seek out these cubes and kind of see if they are salvageable in any way, shape, or form. And one mechanic that we introduced with EDFIA was this idea of these crash landers and how you would handle them. And it's kind of the one kind of thing that we allowed ourselves to do that was not just blowing up the bugs. So we had these ships that you would first kind of activate to get the kind of black box transponder data, and then right here we've activated the self-destruct sequence, which you're about to see here. Yep, there it goes. The lander is destroyed. And yeah, so that's kind of the one mechanic we kind of allowed ourselves that went outside of just blowing up bugs, and so we use it quite a bit in EDFIA. And it's kind of a major part of this level. So you're trying to find these downed landers. There's several of them with cubes, and you need to investigate the cubes. And finally, the level ends. And this is what kind of makes this level unique and my favorite, certainly of all the levels I designed in the game. It ends in a crater, a gigantic crater that was... I think initially, in the initial design document, it was there because of the war with the Ravagers, although the way it's presented here, it's more of an intentional man-made crater. It's, you see industrial equipment and things like that in there, so it's more of a natural, or a man-made rather, occurring thing, as opposed to something that happened because of an explosive in the war with the Ravagers. But again, the crater was also something that came out of the prototyping stage. where we are prototyping non-city things. And obviously, EDFIA doesn't really have non-city environments. It just has different types of city environments. So the crater was a cool way to get some different types of level topography in there. And it had some cool level design possibilities as well that we'll talk about as we get to it. So here we're going to the second downed lander and we're investigating it. Although I'm getting harassed by ticks here. I'm starting to remember like how difficult this game can be in the upper levels, even with higher level gear, and the fact that you have to kind of clear everything out first. I just blew up that car, just because you just got to. It's EDF. You have to blow everything up around you, or else you're not playing the game correctly. So I'm about to get to the first, or I guess the second down lander, but the first cargo cube. The first down lander didn't have any cargo cubes associated with it, but this one does. And so we need here to defend this cube against the Ravagers so that the EDF landers can come by and scoop them up. Actually, there's going to be two landers. One's going to scoop up the cube, and the other is going to do an equipment drop for you. But you have to defend first. So you're going to see, of course, the classic EDF robots, the Hectors, come out. And there they are. There are the Hectors. Very menacing. Of course, I'm playing, if you didn't notice, I'm playing the heavy class, so I'm going to be using that shield a lot, absorbing damage. I'm going to accidentally hit the spacebar quite a bit and do the shield blast move at inappropriate times. Actually, I think probably my favorite class might have just been the regular trooper class, just because of the balanced nature of him. But I do like the heavy too. Being able to soak up damage. And I think I might have accidentally killed my squad mates there with that shield blast. Fortunately, by level 7, you have a really quick revive. One quick technical note. Of course, you're seeing about 15 frames per second. In actuality, with a good gaming PC, you can easily get 60 frames per second if you do the hack anyway, where you take a hex editor and change a line, which is sort of amusing. I'm not responsible for the PC version in any sense, by the way. So yeah, we blew up a Hector. That's actually a weapon drop, which isn't going to be new. That's a weapon we already have, because I'm playing at hard on level 7. And so kind of how we did the random weapon drops is that they're based on the level that you have, and you have a better chance of getting a new one if we were playing on Inferno, because our character is so highly leveled up at this point. The game has 8 levels, we're at level 7. In fact, we're not even going to gain XP in this scenario, because you only gain XP when you're not capped. And by the time you get to level 7, you can't play on hard anymore and still gain XP. But the game is still plenty difficult, despite that, as we're about to find out. Alright, so we successfully defended from the Hectors, and so the EDF landers are called in. You see a little sprinkling of ants there. It's kind of one of the challenges we had with the design flow of these levels. We really didn't want these big lulls where you kind of got done with objective, there goes the cube, bye-bye cube. And we didn't want these big lulls where you weren't shooting. I mean, really, the idea here is, keep shooting, keep shooting. Yes, you can have little dips. I mean, you certainly don't want the intensity curve to be always up, but at the same time, if it just kind of dropped to the bottom and you were offered nothing to do for some extended period of time, especially for an online game where people might be dropping in and out,